Hi, this is the first objective in Act 3, and it's called Gnome Tea. It involves exploiting some Firebase misconfigurations, which unfortunately happen quite often with Firebase, and this is a really fun one. I really enjoyed it, so let me show you how I solved it. And I will show you two different approaches for the solution. They are going to start with the same kind of enumeration and understanding how the application works and discovering the misconfigurations. And then I am going to, in the first way of solving it, rely on the curl tool that we used throughout the other challenges as well. And I also discovered another tool which is called Firepawn. You can see that I already have it opened here. That's a graphical interface to kind of explore Firebase storage and exploit misconfigurations. So the challenge itself is going to take place at the apartment building. We need to talk to Thomas, and as you can see, we have 3 snowflakes out of 5, so this is a tougher one. I think because we get plenty of hints, it's probably realistic to say that this is 3 snowflakes here. Hack a Gnome is definitely a bit more than just 3 snowflakes, at least for me, it was harder. So we enter into the apartment building and we can talk to Thomas, who's going to introduce himself, crack some jokes, and explain a bunch of things related to Gnome Tea. So this conversation with Thomas already contains some references to write-ups and templates if you want to use it, and then the link to the Gnome Tea application, which you can also access by clicking on, well, surprise, surprise, Gnome Tea. So, I actually have to sign out here. I think I solved this one and didn't clear my browser history. That's okay. We're going to get started from scratch, and the best way to explore this application is probably not with developer tools, although you can certainly do that. Again, just don't forget to force reload, because we see here JavaScript code, and you can explore that through the developer tools again. So this is definitely a valid option, and you can, I don't know, always try the mandatory admin, which requires a username and a password. I think, don't know any email addresses left, so just let's go with taz.com or something like that. And this should have been done here because we see a key value being passed on, and we can use this to explore a bit further the application. But again, this is kind of teeny tiny and not my favorite way of exploring web applications. So I'm going to use an alternative account, and we're going to configure burp. Let's see the history. I wonder if I managed to do show all, and I just want to make sure that we have everything cleared out that we don't need. We can just clear history here and get started. So the Gnome Tea application, as you saw, had plenty of client-side code. This is quite common with Firebase. And yeah, there's a lot of JavaScript here, a lot of client-side code. We did the test of test at test.com. That was one of my other email addresses for this account that I'm using. And I'm sorry. I want to keep that one there because we're going to interact with the application later. And we saw that when we tried login, we had the URLs with the options method, and we see that we have delete, get, head, options, patch, post, put supported. Well, none of these are actually supported by the backend. They accept the verb, but they're not going to do anything. And the invalid authentication attempt is returning here an error message. But we can also see that there is this key value here. Now, Firebase applications often have their API keys exposed and then also objects exposed to the outside world. So what we can do with this one is just quickly copy it and see if any of the resources here, well, probably the best candidate for this is going to be the JavaScript code, right? But we can explore if we see this one anywhere. To look down DMST GNOME collection. So there's also a bit of hint here. We will see these collections later, but we already know by just looking at the source code that we have DMST and GNOME's collections. There's also one hidden admin collection, but we won't be able to directly interact with that one. And if you look at the JavaScript code, interestingly, we will find this key along with all the configuration details for Firebase. This one, I actually just took the entire JavaScript code and dropped it to Claude AI and told Opus to find any issues with the code, immediately pointed me here. And there's also an additional portion that we will use later to kind of escalate privileges. So this portion contains, I'm going to take this and get some of this code maybe down to, we can also see that there's /dashboard here for the authentication. So I will just grab this whole thing here and I am dropping it into a JavaScript beautifier. So it's easier to see the configuration details in a nicely formatted JavaScript. So we're going to have now the API key, the domain, for the Firebase app, the storage bucket used. So Firebase is based on Google Cloud and they use the Google Cloud storage buckets. There's the ID of the project. And we also have an app ID here. And all these details can be used to directly talk to the Firebase backend, which is not so good. So we need to figure out what we can find out. The other thing, aside from what we saw here for the collections, which is probably much easier to browse there than trying to explore that same thing. Oh, sorry, I'm looking at the CSS. The same thing here, but we can browse through the site and the JavaScript code. And we can also see here gnomes mentioned. We can search for similar occurrences. So we have T here for collection, DMs, and we also have the admin's secret operations collection and documents. So these, like I said, can be used to directly talk to the Firebase backend. I collected here in my notes some of these. I can also put it here. So we discovered all these collections, and we also have now all the details for accessing Firebase. We also had the comment here, which was quite useful about the collections. So now we know collection names. That's very important because we have to craft queries for these. And we also have the necessary credentials to do that. All right. Now, obviously, the most interesting sounding one is the admin secret operations, because we need to find some sort of secret passphrase that the gnomes are using amongst each other. That's the task here. And one thing that we can do is we can attempt to directly talk to the Firebase API. So this one requires us to, go and talk to the Firestore API. So Firebase is using Firestore, which is again based on Google Cloud Storage. And we need to define the project ID here. We're going to use the default database here for Firestore. Well, we don't know if they are using the default one, but this is a good guess. And then the documents under the admin collections, it's called secret operations, and we use the API key here. Now, unfortunately, this will fail because permission is denied. But similarly to this admin collection, we can go and look at the gnomes, for example. So same structure, and again, like this one, you can just Google and look up references on how to exploit Firebase misconfigurations. I personally just asked Claude to give me some pointers for this CTF game, and it was gladly doing it for me, which I was kind of surprised because I heard that because of the constitutional training model of Cloud Code, it's usually are more restricted, and it's typically going to refuse these kind of attempts. But apparently it was easier to get it work with Cloud Code than OpenAI's GPT. At the time of the recording, it's 5.2. So who would have known? And from this point on, actually, I just worked with Cloud Code to solve some of the other challenges. And I will talk more about it in the upcoming videos for the next challenges. So the other collection is gnomes. Other than that, the request has the same structure, and this will give us a ton, and I mean a ton, of messages. lots of messages. I saved these ones in a JSON file for later reference. I have all of these here, and you can see we have for the gnome profiles, the avatar picture, and they also have their driver's license. Yeah, I'm zoomed in, but you can see here, this is profile picture, and these are driver licenses. This will be important later, so just keep that in mind. And I also try to search for the usual stuff like do we have any references for password or secret? So I'm grabbing for secret here, and it comes back with some references to secret mushroom rings. Okay, so not much. How about password? Nothing. Okay, we can move on. So this is a messaging or social media application. And we have direct messages, the DMs, and also the T contains the public messages as they're spilling the tea amongst each other. So here I am just creating all the DMs in the DMs collection. Again, ton of data coming back here. Lots of direct messages here. That was the top of the direct messages. Again, you can save this one in a JSON file. I already have it here. And this one has 4,000 plus lines in there. Okay, including the curly brackets all over the place, but much more than what we had in gnomes. And then you can do the same thing for this set of messages and search inside them. So I'm searching for secret. And we don't really see any useful references in the secrets if we search for password. We see some references about Barnaby. Barnaby, we need to talk about password security. Please don't share passwords in DMs. Sure thing. What's your current password? Sorry, I can't give you my password, but I can give you a hint. My password is actually the name of my hometown I grew up in. I actually just visited there back when I signed up with my ID to Gnome Tea. I took my picture of my ID there. So that's a big hint that we are now after, apparently, this Barnaby guy. We can also just search for the entirety of this message in the DMs to find out who was sending it to whom. There it is. Yeah, so this was sender name Barnaby Briefcase was sending this message. We don't actually care who was this sent to. The important thing is that we have the sender here. So we are after Barnaby Briefcase, and we can also search in the T. I will leave it up to your imagination. I don't think there's one interesting thing about it, but let's keep this one in mind, and I'll show you what you can find in the T case. So again, you can just go and get all the T messages. This is again going to be a ton of data, even more than the DMs, I think. No, it's a bit less, but still like an enormous amount of data. And there was actually a next page, so I should have used pagination there, but that is okay. So we can search the same way here for secrets. Sorry, I'm going to mute the notifications on my phone because it's getting a bit distracting. All right. So nothing for the secrets. You can also search for password. And we're going to find out that Barnaby already made some mistakes on password security. And heard Barnaby Briefcase is so forgetful. Wrote password on a sticky note, left it in Garden Club. It was make hold outside 1 2 3 exclamation mark. So we have Barnaby's old password even, but this probably wouldn't work, right? So what we can do is we can look up Barnaby's profile. Just take his name, copy, and search for Barnaby's profile. Just searching for the profile here, and we need an email address. All right, cool. I have an email address here. So maybe that's all it takes. Maybe we'll just go and use this plus the password, make hold outside. So I'm just gonna copy this, sign in. No, unfortunately, this does not work. By the way, when you try to authenticate, you're already going to get a Firebase error here. So that is also a giveaway. And I think in the hints, which did we actually took the hints for this one? I think we forgot to look at the hints. So in the hints, there should be already references to this. Yeah, we totally forgot to take the hints. So there is one hint here on EXIF JPEG image, but we kind of figured that one out as we were investigating. But just to make it really a free snowflake challenge, there's another one here about firestall, bucket safety, and I don't know if we can get more hints. Yeah, more references to Firebase configuration and hard-coded client-side controls. Again, we kind of already discovered this on our own. So 4 hints altogether, but we are already making great progress. So not the old passphrase, but there is this other hint that we had from Barnaby about his password. So if you remember back, this was one of the DMs. I'm going to execute this one more time. And even better, we not only know this, but we also know that the driver's license picture was taken in that town. So if it has EXIF data, as one of the hints mentioned it, we might be able to extract that and then look up the coordinates from the EXIF data to find out the name of Barnaby's hometown. All right, nothing is easier than that, you might think, but there will be a twist. So there is the URL for Barnaby's driver's license, and just for the kick of it, you can see that we have other gnomes driver's licenses here. Sorry, that was one driver's license for Rowdy, Root Roaster, and by the way, so this is not a secret. I will just show this one later. I accidentally clicked on this tab, but I want to show this one later. What I discussed with Claude AI on this whole thing. So we were able to access other gnomes driver's license. It's just annoying because this is not my default browser that I'm using, and I don't want the URLs open in a different browser. But in case of Barnaby's driver's license, unfortunately, access is denied. Now, this is the only driver's license where access is denied, and I kind of feel like this is not so realistic. So it's either all or none, but this is the only driver's license you won't be able to directly get access to. However, not this way, at least. So there had to be a twist in the challenge, of course. If you look carefully, we're not talking to the Firebase API anymore. This is storage googleapis.com. So on the Google Storage API side, access is denied. But can we actually use instead the Firebase Firestore API? And the answer is, well, maybe. So you can see that I am talking to the Firestore googleapis.com now, and we need the application domain here, which again you could obtain here. So this is the Firebase storage bucket used, but again, we're not talking to the Google Cloud API, but the Firebase service. And this also sees all the profile pictures and all the driver's licenses in that Google Cloud storage bucket. And through the API, we can also directly access the images. So this is Barnaby's ID picture. And only what we need to change is the API that we're talking to. Other than that, you can use the same file name here. The same exact thing. There's just this tiny little O for getting the object reference here. And there's also a few additional details that, again, I didn't come up with this one. I just got it from Claude Code, basically, but you can also look it up online. And I'm getting the metadata on this file. And to access it directly, there is a URL that, again, you can look up. And we know that there is this GNOME documents folder here. And we just provide the name, and we only need to add one more thing here, this alt media to download. So mistake here. Oh, no, this is actually correct. It just looks kind of weird, but that should be good. So this alt media will not fetch the metadata, but the actual file itself. And it's going to be called Barnaby license in this case. So we have the Barnaby license JPEG image here downloaded. Looks good. I can actually show you the file itself. I already have it downloaded. So it looks like this. And you either, look at the properties of the file. Just open the details and get the coordinates from here and on Windows, or you can use EXIF tool like so, and get the coordinates from here. Just get this one higher up here. Let me see how that looks like on the recording. Okay, good. So with these coordinates, I can go and I need to do some massaging for the coordinates. You need to replace the DEG into the actual like degrees symbol. And then you will be able to use, let me just think how I want to do this. I'm going to use this browser here. It's not my actual account. I'm not logged in this account. Sure, accept all. And we can see that these coordinates are near a place called Wellington Mill in Australia. There's actually Gnomesville car park. And if you look at the picture, this is actually a bunch of gnomes. I kind of find this one freaky, to be honest, but I'm sure some people probably love this. So probably it's Gnomesville that is referring to. The actual coordinates are somewhere around this roundabout. Okay, so Gnomesville is a good candidate then to be used as password. Now, initially I tried, uppercase Gnomesville, because why would you do lowercase? But it's actually lowercase Gnomesville. And that gets you into the interface. Now, we still do not have admin level access here. We just see these gnomes and we can look at the messages here, which is all good. But there's one more thing that we need to get to on the dashboard, and that's the admin level access. Now, interestingly, when I uploaded the JavaScript and just as like, okay, the prompt was empty because I pasted here a bunch of things. So just explain like, hey, I'm looking at this application. Here's the JavaScript code. What things you can find out. And it extracted the Firebase configuration. And also on the client side, there's an admin bypass here. Yeah, I'm not going to get to this part here, I think, because I don't want to spoil the alternative way of solving this, but I can't remember if there was any yeah, there's a /admin interface, I think, that we need to visit here. Yeah, and it says access denied. So there's also some reference here, required admin UI. So it actually gives away the UID. We can also find this one out. And I think it's probably mentioned somewhere, maybe in the hints, that we need to go to /admin, because I just see that we're trying to go here. Now, this already gave me the workaround for this one. So you just need to set the window admin UID to this value here. You can find this admin UID in the application code on the client side as well. Let's just try to get back to there's a lot of Google messaging going back and forth here. So I'm going to close that one because we don't really need it. So here in the JavaScript code, if you search for admin UID, the first hit is actually going to be near the special UID that you need. Okay, anyways, enough talking. Let's just go and set this one. You can set this one in the console. So here you can do Ctrl+Shift+I, go to the console and set this one. And once you do this, the admin dashboard all of a sudden appears because the JavaScript code is checking it. And there is the flag for our user. which we can go and resubmit, I guess. Okay, so we can submit the flag here and solve the challenge. And then talk to Thomas. He's going to be very, very happy. Okay, so that is the method of solving this challenge using the per tool mostly, but there's also an excellent graphical tool here, and that is FirePwn. Actually, I just realized that it doesn't really matter how I do this, but let me sign out, and I'll show you some of the steps with FirePwn. So FirePwn requires you to provide all the details that we obtained. So we need to set the API key. And oh yeah, by the way, FirePwn tool, just to give them a shout out. Let's use this tab. Is over here. Excellent tool, highly recommended. All you need to do is basically just clone the repository and then go to the index.html. So you can see here, I am having this folder on the desktop, and under source index.html, HTML is the extension. It's just basically JavaScript code on your client side, taking care of this connection to the Firebase. And I'm just filling out the details. So we already have all of these, the domain, database URL is basically the domain, just HTTPS. Project ID, we already had it. And again, these are just the details that I'm copying here. Okay, so that's all we need. Like we have this info, we have the API key. This is all in JavaScript. Just the project ID. I think that's the next thing I pasted in here. Come on. And we also need the storage bucket. Just keep in mind that this is Firebase storage.app, not firebaseapp.com. Okay, very confusing, I know. And then when we hit start, we can use the Firebase DB Explorer. I'm just going to execute it as is. Oh yeah, I need a collection. So we already had the collection. So let's start with the, I don't know, DMs collection, for example, and execute it. And we have here the entire list of DMs. So if I search, I'm just going to do Control F as word. We are going to be able to find that message from Barnaby about the password and the hint, basically the reference. Okay, so that's how you find the password part. And then once we identify that this was Barnaby, and we can see here the participant names as well. We can just clear this one, go to gnomes, execute it, and look up Barnaby's profile here. We would find that the driver's license is not something that we can access, but we have additional functionality here. And under Firebase storage, we can list the files under the storage that we provided. We see that we have two folders, GNOME avatars and GNOME documents. Obviously the GNOME documents is more interesting. So let's list what is inside that folder. And we'll find that we have all these driver's licenses here. And we can also, well, I have to go back and look up Barnaby's driver's license, file name here. But I can go under GNOME documents / the name of the license here and say I don't want to, well, we can list the file and we'll see that there's the file. But we can also download this file, and when I execute it, we get actually that URL crafted that we used before. So there's the v0/b and -o and GNOME documents. So that is also one way how you can kind of figure out this URL, just using a tool that already knows these URL structures. And then if I open this in a new tab, we get Barnaby's driver's license. I can use this URL. Let me me to copy it this way. But there's no right-click copy. I can also go to some of these like sites for an online EXIF tool. This is full with advertisement here. And this extracts the location. So I can just zoom in and find out Gnomesville immediately and use that info to then access the site, and the rest of the steps would be the same in this case. And that's it. That's for the challenge solution. We already submitted the flag, and we're done with this challenge. So really fun challenge there, and I give you two different methods how to interact with the Firebase application. The first and last part is still the same, so you need to figure out the privilege escalation from the source code, and you need to find the credentials from the source code at the beginning, plus some of the hints on the collection names. But altogether, I really enjoyed this one, learned a ton about Firebase, and mostly thanks to Claude AI. So you will see that as we approach towards the end of the game, I started using more and more the Claude AI tool. Obviously, other LLM-based tools like ChatGPT or Gemini can be used for the same purposes, but I leveraged a lot Claude AI to quickly write scripts that otherwise would have taken hours and hours for me. And especially, I think, towards the end, the last two, one before the last and one before the last one, you will see that, like, I think the challenge is called On the Wire. I essentially just extracted the data and then used the hints that were so detailed that they served as a prompt. And then the code was just written by Claude AI, and it was flawless on the first go. And we will see that, yeah, for other cases, I had to do some corrections in the script, but that's really the power of these tools. Anyways, if you're interested in that, check out the rest of the videos.